Listen up. This is a mess, Jake started, his voice tight, echoing the chaos in his head. My wife, Emily. She decided our marriage needed opening up. Now fast forward. I'm seeing someone new, someone incredible. And Emily? She's in full meltdown mode, drowning in regret. Never in my wildest dreams did I see us spiraling into this. 10 years, Emily and I. 8 married. College sweethearts, you know the drill. First for each other, only for each other. I was naive enough to believe that forged something unbreakable, something sacred. Turns out that was just my fantasy. It all began when Emily landed this high-pressure job in Manhattan. Finance, the whole deal. She's always been introverted, a bit reserved, initially struggled to navigate the cutthroat office dynamics. But I was her cheerleader, pushing her to network, make friends, climb that corporate ladder. She found her tribe, this clique of women, a real city mix. Ambitious singles, battle-scarred divorcees, women playing the dating game hard. At first I was thrilled. Progress, right? Then the happy hours started stretching into late nights. The weekend parties became a regular thing. A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. I tried to bring it up, gently, but I didn't want to stifle her newfound confidence, her freedom. Then the fallout hit our bedroom. Emily, never the initiator of intimacy, suddenly became a master of excuses. Too drained, headache, just not feeling it. The connection we had, the spark, it was dimming fast. Then, the catalyst, the charming new VP, Mr. Smooth Operator himself. Suddenly, Emily couldn't stop talking about him. His management style, his problem-solving genius, his everything. It felt excessive, like hero worship, bordering on obsession. I called her out on it, the VP fixation. She'd deflect, laugh it off, make it seem like I was imagining things. Then came the subtle jabs, the little digs designed to wound. Jake, do you ever think you missed out? Not, sleeping around more when you were younger? I told her, honestly, you're everything I ever wanted, Em. For a split second, I saw a flicker of something in her eyes, vulnerability, maybe even sadness. But it vanished, masked by a practiced nonchalance, and she'd pivot, change the subject with a practiced ease. And then, the unthinkable. Open marriage, she announces one evening, casual as suggesting takeout, like it was some trendy lifestyle upgrade, the it thing to do in sophisticated Manhattan circles. I was floored, speechless. This wasn't Emily. This was some Stepford version, infected by the city's toxic ambition. I challenged her, point blank. Is this about this VP guy? Denial, pure and rehearsed, wide-eyed innocence act, said she felt like she'd missed out on experiences, that life had passed her by somehow, but she didn't want to lose me. It's a compromise, Jake. A way to have it all. Safer for us. Safer. For whom? Playing with fire, I thought, screaming in my head. But idiotically, desperately wanting to believe her, wanting to save us, I agreed. Naively, stupidly. A year. A year of watching my marriage implode in slow motion. A meticulously orchestrated demolition. Emily dove headfirst into this open world. Dating apps buzzing on her phone. Whispered phone calls in the hallway. Details I actively tried to block out. One-night stands becoming casual mentions in our strained conversations. Then, inevitably, the VP, He became a fixture, a shadow presence in our lives, always just out of focus but undeniably there. Me. I tried dating, a few awkward encounters, felt wrong, hollow, couldn't bring myself to replicate Emily's detached approach. It felt like a betrayal of something fundamental, even if she'd given me permission. Emily would casually ask, "You doing okay, Jake? Enjoying your freedom?" Like that was supposed to make it all right. Like that could undo the damage. The love I had for her. It was like watching a slow bleed, a vital organ failing, killing me inch by inch. Then, a lifeline. I met Sarah, Korean-American, just moved to New York to open her own design studio, a whirlwind of creativity and warmth. An amazing woman. Dates turned into something deeper, something real, and then intimacy. And it was like a dam broke, like color flooding back into a black and white world, like finally breathing after suffocating for months. This woman, Sarah, she saw me, truly saw me, flaws and all, and still wanted me, made me feel alive again, desirable, masculine. Emily initially played it cool, detached. "Oh, that's good, Jake. Glad you're exploring." But weeks turned into months, and the cracks started to show. The casual questions became sharp interrogations, laced with jealousy, suspicion, about Sarah, about our relationship, about everything. I just looked at her, the hypocrisy choking me. "You started this, Emily. Remember? You and your VP playboy." Silence. A thick, suffocating silence, like I'd ripped away her carefully constructed facade, exposing the raw, ugly truth underneath. Then the pendulum swung. The switch flipped. Suddenly, Emily was transforming back into the wife I thought I'd lost forever. Home early, the scent of roasted chicken filling the apartment, gourmet meals appearing on the table, the place spotless, obsessively clean. Lunch deliveries at my office, out of the blue, handwritten notes tucked inside, filled with forced sweetness, hollow apologies, initiating things in the bedroom, seductive lingerie, soft whispers, trying to reignite a flame that had long since turned to ash. If it wasn't for the agonizing backdrop of the open marriage nightmare, I would have been ecstatic, relieved, overjoyed. But it all felt staged, desperate, empty, forced, going through the motions like actors in a play they no longer believed in. Something fundamental between Emily and me, the trust, the connection, it was shattered, irreparable. Asked her finally, "What is this, Emily? What are you doing?" "I want to show you," she said, her voice trembling, fragile. "I want to show you I love you, Jake, that I'm happy, that I want us back." I laughed, a harsh, hollow sound that echoed the emptiness inside me. "What about your girl gang, Em? Your VP lover? The thrill of the chase? The adventure?" She just crumbled, shut down completely, went to bed in tears, a defeated heap under the duvet. Next day she was waiting for me when I got home from work, her eyes red-rimmed, swollen but determined, a storm gathering behind them. "I want to close it," she declared, her voice barely a whisper, but firm, resolute. "The marriage, This whole experiment. It was a catastrophic mistake, Jake. I regret everything, every single decision. Please, can we just go back to us? Focus on us again. I pushed her, needed to understand, needed to hear the truth. Be honest with me, Emily. What the hell started all this? Really? Friends, predictably, inevitably. The toxic influence of her new friends, their seductive tales of sexual liberation, their endless pursuit of fleeting thrills, their casual dismissal of commitment. Their stories had planted the seed of doubt, the insidious whisper that she was missing out on something vital, something essential. Then, Mr. VP Golden Boy had arrived, the ultimate validation, the charismatic enabler, Mr. Live Your Best Life, egging her on, encouraging her to explore, to discover herself. Emotional affair, she finally admitted. The stolen glances, the late-night texts, the charged silences, escalating to physical intimacy only after the safety net of the open marriage agreement. Like being drunk behind the wheel of a speeding car, she confessed, her voice cracking. The thrill, the rush, it was intoxicating. But the crash, the price is too high, Jake. I can't bear it. She was seeing it now, she claimed, the devastating clarity of hindsight. What we had, what we'd built, was rare, precious, irreplaceable, and she'd thrown it all away for a cheap imitation of freedom, for a fleeting illusion of excitement. Murdered our marriage, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Any chance we ever had at a real life together? I told her, honestly, brutally, I don't know if I can ever see you as my wife again, Emily. The words hung in the air, heavy, final. They shattered her. She broke down completely, a raw, primal sob tearing from her throat. Sobbing, pleading, clinging to me on the couch, a desperate, broken woman, until she finally collapsed, exhausted, asleep in my arms. She quit her high-powered job, a dramatic resignation, a symbolic gesture of repentance, ghosted the friends, cut all contact with the VP, erased him from her digital life, a digital ghosting of a very real betrayal. But Sarah, I couldn't let go of Sarah. Sarah saw the man I was, the man Emily had stopped seeing. Sarah made me feel whole again. Truth is, I was lost in a labyrinth of pain and confusion, wanting to believe Emily's sudden remorse, wanting to resurrect the ghost of our past, wanting to recapture that lost magic, maybe. But Sarah had been my anchor in the storm, my lifeline when I was drowning in despair. Therapy. Emily's desperate plea, her last-ditch attempt to salvage something from the wreckage. Therapist seemed competent enough, professional, listening with practiced empathy. First session, Emily just unleashed a torrent of confession, a carefully curated narrative of regret and self-blame. Friends, the convenient scapegoats, the root of all evil, she claimed. Their seductive whispers, their alluring lies, had poisoned her mind, made her question her choices, made her feel inadequate, unfulfilled. VP, the charming tempter, the catalyst for her awakening, the one who'd validated her desires, her need for exploration. Guilt, she insisted, had gnawed at her conscience from the start. No physical intimacy with the VP. Not really. Not until the safety of the open marriage agreement. The divorced friend's brilliant solution. The twisted logic that opening the marriage would somehow strengthen it. A perverse form of marital therapy. So, she'd regrettably convinced me, her naive, trusting husband, and her journey of self-discovery, her descent into chaos, had begun. Intoxicating, blinding, she repeated, the mantra of her regret. But ultimately so empty, so meaningless. So nothing, she admitted, could compare to the depth, the authenticity of what we had once shared. She'd seen the pain in my eyes, the growing distance between us, but had stubbornly clung to the delusion of adventure, telling herself it was just a phase, a temporary detour on the road of our marriage. The gravity of her actions hadn't truly hit her until she'd witnessed the profound, irreversible change in me, the coldness in my eyes, the emotional chasm that had opened between us. Pit in my stomach, she described, the physical manifestation of her guilt, panic attacks that gripped her without warning, stealing her breath, her sanity. She'd run back to her toxic friends, seeking solace, advice, desperate for validation. They'd shrugged, dismissed her panic. Normal reaction, Em. Jake's just adjusting to the new rules of the game. Adventure. Remember? But the hollowness of their words, the callousness of their advice, finally shattered the illusion. Ridiculous, she realized, the utter absurdity of it all. Begged them to help her, to offer some magic solution to win me back, to undo the damage she'd inflicted. Why open it in the first place if you can't handle the consequences? They'd sneered, their true colors finally revealed. Toxic, self-serving, a clear and present danger to everything we'd built, everything we held dear. So, Operation Win Jake Back, a desperate, belated attempt at damage control, was launched. I remained mostly silent in those early therapy sessions, a detached observer in my own unraveling marriage. I mentioned Sarah, her continued presence in my life, a stark, uncomfortable reality for Emily to confront. Therapist, predictably, stated the obvious. No real progress can be made with this third party still involved, Jake. Second session. Therapist cut through the carefully constructed layers of Emily's narrative, the polite denials, the convenient omissions. Let's be direct, Emily. Was there any physical intimacy with the VP before the open marriage agreement? Anything at all? Emily's eyes darted downwards, shame flooding her face, begged me silently not to make her answer. It will destroy us, Jake, she choked out, her voice barely audible. I pressed her, relentlessly, needing the truth, however brutal, however devastating. We touched each other, she whispered, the confession ripped from her unwillingly. In his office, after work, in front of each other. She clung to the pathetic rationalization that it wasn't really cheating, a technicality, a loophole in her own twisted moral code. I was floored, utterly speechless, the betrayal cutting deeper than I could have imagined. She started trembling uncontrollably, hyperventilating, tears and snot streaming down her face, a picture of utter devastation. Down on her knees, she collapsed at my feet, clutching my legs, sobbing apologies, incoherent pleas for forgiveness. Even the therapist, seasoned professional that she was, looked visibly taken aback by the raw intensity of Emily's breakdown, the sheer depth of her despair. Asked her, finally, the question that had been gnawing at me. What changed, Emily? What made you finally see him for who he really was? Leaving a late-night meeting, she'd walk past his corner office, the door slightly ajar, a sliver of light spilling into the darkened hallway. Heard his voice, booming, arrogant, bragging to some other male colleague. Surprised how easy she was, he'd laughed, a cruel, dismissive sound that cut through Emily like a knife. Proves you can't ever trust the quiet ones, right? Always hiding something. The other guy, some faceless drone in his corporate empire, had asked casually, "So, you actually into her, or what?" Pleasant distraction, he'd scoffed, the contempt dripping from his words. No way I'm dumping my fiancée for her. Please. Felt a little bad for me, he'd added, a patronizing afterthought. But hey, snooze you lose, buddy. Emily, standing frozen in the hallway, listening to his callous dismissal, the casual cruelty of his words, realizing with sickening clarity that she was nothing more than a conquest, a disposable plaything, a momentary ego boost for a narcissistic executive, on top of the crushing weight of her betrayal of me, of us, of everything we'd built. She'd wanted to vanish, to cease to exist. "Run to the bathroom," she said, and vomited violently in the pristine marble-tiled sink. The physical expulsion of her shame, her self-loathing, asked her one last crucial question. Did you love him, Emily? Did you ever stop loving me? She looked me directly in the eye, tears pouring down her face, her gaze unwavering. Never stop loving you, Jake. Never. Made it worse somehow that she'd deceived herself, that she'd mistaken infatuation for love, that she'd risked everything for a pathetic illusion. Squeezed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong, desperate. I screwed up, Jake. I know I did. I miss us, the real us, the connection we had. Proposed a radical solution, a desperate attempt to escape the wreckage of our lives. Let's leave New York, Jake. Start fresh. Somewhere new, somewhere far away. Just us, like it was always supposed to be. I told her, honestly, painfully, it wasn't fair to Sarah, that I needed time, space, to process the enormity of her betrayal, the depth of my own confusion. She sobbed harder then. A raw animal sound of grief and despair, words tumbling out in incoherent fragments, clinging to me like I was the last solid thing in a world crumbling around her. Therapist, ever the voice of reason, gently suggested that perhaps, for now, sometime apart might be the only path towards any kind of healing, any chance of reconciliation. Packed a bag that night, the silence in our apartment thick with unspoken grief, the weight of a decade of shared history suddenly unbearable. Later, Emily got a video call on her laptop, a jarring intrusion into the suffocating stillness. One of her ex-friends, the ringleader of the toxic clique, face contorted with tears, a digital drama unfolding in our living room. Turns out, after Emily's dramatic resignation, she and the VP had embarked on their own ill-advised fling. A predictable repetition of Emily's disastrous choices. Pregnancy scare. Boyfriend, the unsuspecting fiancé, had discovered the sordid affair, the incriminating email exchanges about the potential baby, the panicked cover-up. VP, predictably, had turned on her, accused her of baby-trapping him, a pathetic display of male ego and cowardice. I just turned and walked out, leaving Emily to face the fallout of her choices, the domino effect of her self-destruction. Been in a small, sterile apartment downtown ever since, the temporary refuge of a broken man. Talked to a divorce lawyer, brother's insistent recommendation, just to protect myself, to explore my options, to prepare for the inevitable. Don't know if I have the strength, the will to fight for this marriage anymore. Emily senses it. The finality hanging in the air between us. A silent, unspoken death sentence. Tried to initiate intimacy one last time before I left. A desperate, futile attempt to bridge the chasm, to recapture something that was irrevocably lost. When I gently pulled away, rejecting her desperate plea, she'd erupted, a raw, wounded animal screaming, "What does Sarah do for you, Jake? What can she give you that I can't?" Didn't answer. Couldn't, just shook my head. A weary, defeated gesture. "If you still don't understand, Em," I said, my voice flat, devoid of emotion, "then it's truly over. There's nothing left to say." Left her standing there, a broken silhouette in the doorway, the sad, inescapable truth hanging heavy in the air between us. She'd give anything to rewind, to undo her choices, to erase the past year. But life cruelly doesn't offer do-overs. Good luck to you, Rain, because we're drowning in it.